This is the Silt versus role playing game, Family Ties Part 4. A little bit of recapping. So, the group is split up into two pairs, and you are at the two different active assignments. The first is the Hungering Roots, and the second is the Floating Market. Right now at the Hungering Roots, Basil and Gage are chatting up a young delivery man named Taj Siddiqui. Taj is in love with a woman who works at the Grow facility. Her name is Gail Van Wyck. She's an older woman and probably out of his league, at least in terms of age, but maybe in other ways too. But nevertheless, he thinks that if he's of the opinion that if you help him make his love connection, then maybe she can help us with what's going on at the Crow facility. And Basil had just taken a swig of this Third Eye brand tea, which contains the psychotropic ingredients that are being grown over at the Grove facility via this trapped harvest god. And I made you roll the veiled move to keep under control or to see how your body responded or whatever. You chose to write a verse because the Third Eye tea made you fall in love with Gail Van Wyck, and you avoided that by writing a verse. And I'm going to say instead, you keep it together, but I'm going to give you a condition, the Third Eye. And this is a tricky condition while you have it, because what this condition does is basically any role you undertake that doesn't use your newly awakened consciousness is taken at disadvantage. So keep that in mind. But that's basically where things are at right now with Gage and Basil and the Hungering Roots. Japheth and Zeph arrived at this floating market on the White Gull River, and you are trying to figure out which black market divinity being sold here is the most trouble. That is maybe, well, it'll help focus your investigation, but the idea here, I think, is that you want to neutralize that threat. That's what Biased is interested in, but also one gets the impression that they're looking for a pretense to shut down the whole market as well. So in any case, the two of you are there and you're split up at the floating market. Currently, right now, Japheth is talking to Mog Squamous, did a information move, got a miss. We have not followed up on that yet. And Zeph is doing a loop around the market, and also got a hit with got a clue with a complication on the information move, which I have not followed up on yet. In terms of where these assignments stand in just raw mechanical terms, the Hungering Roots, you currently have one clue, which was found during the journey phase, written on a sacrifices scrap paper. See the three suns above this planet. Intriguing. And floating market, similarly, you got two clues: a can labeled White Gull River Canning Company, and a Glottage cop car speeding down the road in the direction of the floating market. And so, yeah, in terms of the conspiracy, which you don't know too much about yet, you do have a couple of conspiracy clues. I'm not sure the Custodians have put together what those are about necessarily, but I think that might come into more focus as we play it today. And so, if there are no other questions, we will begin the session, continuing our investigation phase. I do have to introduce a brand new assignment because you will now be at 3, which is the maximum amount. That new assignment is called the Bowered Companion. You can certainly follow along as you wish on the Character Keeper. The trade roads that cut through the Whisper Plains have been fueling the economy for decades. They are the way trucks transport modern conveniences across the peninsula. They are the only way into and out of rural settlements scattered across the countryside. They are, despite the heavy environmental toll they take, a simple fact of life. Who of the four of you grew up in the most remote area, do we think?
I
I
definitely
mean,
would be
Gage
more
is pretty
rural.
rural, but I don't
Yeah.
know how remote that is.
Hmm. There's a distinction, right? I would say. Yeah. Anybody else want to have a say in the most remote area? Make a case for themselves or someone else?
I mean, it might be
Zeph. Oh,
Basil based on what we've established, but go ahead.
yeah, Zeph
Where?
definitely had the farming community vibes as well. So again, remote, not remote, rural.
Mike, what were you saying about Basil?
Um, well, we know that Basil is like he's part of like a weird sect of the Waxen Scrivener, that is like much more like agrarian and farm based and that type of thing,
Yeah.
that it's all
Yeah.
around food as opposed to like writing and libraries and like institutions and the law and all of that kind of thing. So that's
Yeah.
kind of why I was thinking like that might be remote.
Yeah. I could see where maybe Japheth has spent more time on the road in transit, but you're more remote.
Hmm. Intriguing. Um, I'll go with Basil. I'm going to direct a question to you, Basil. How do you know that the trade roads take an equally heavy toll on the people living near them? How has this affected you or someone you know?
What is what's your reading of this question? Sorry. Um, that the trade roads take an equally heavy toll. That just like the trading on these roads takes a heavy toll?
Um,
Or
they take a, so it noted in the previous sentence they are, despite the heavy environmental toll they take, a simple fact of life. How do you know the trade roads take an equally heavy toll on the people living near
got
them,
it.
not just
Okay,
the
okay.
environment?
Oh man, I jumped in front of a speeding train on this one. But let's say that that's actually why to to jump off of that. Is that it's sort of that um people don't necessarily stop in these communities along the way. They're headed to these bigger factory farms or even just kind of like depots where everything gets deposited. Um, and the trucks don't come through that often either. And so the roads themselves maybe even um, just become part of the landscape. And so people, almost like deer, running across a road in the middle of nowhere, like just forget that it's a highway, that it's a road. And so there are people like roadkill essentially along the side of the road as these trucks come barreling through at really high speeds. They're not expecting to see people, and the people are not expecting to see them. And maybe a lot of times it's at night, and yeah, uh, a fair amount of people. You'll always hear in these towns of somebody who got hit or hasn't come back, and there's a suspicion that somewhere along the trade roads they've been run over.
Interesting, interesting, interesting. Has this affected you or someone you know?
I think some of those, like we met that sort of like class that I was in, that sort of like weird like Sunday school of the Wax and Scrivener, and I think probably like two or three people from that class have
Hmm.
died in this way. Um, Sort of like a early sacrifice has always been around, right? But like this was something where these people got plucked out of um, our community in a way that was not ritualistic, that was just kind of like blunt and banal, and yeah. So sort of like a trauma of the reality of the world that is kind of in the back of Basil's head.
Recently, an essential route has been blocked. Near the rural settlement of Ulm, on the edge of the Whisper Plains, a woodland trade road has been engulfed in an impossibly thick fog that appears to be spreading. Fading's Ferry and Freight, a large shipping company that has used this route regularly, has reported instances of their drivers being forced off the road, then disappearing entirely. Similar reports are coming out of Ulm, where residents have begun uncharacteristically wandering into the surrounding fog, never to be seen again. Locals are crediting these incidents to a now neglected god of missing travelers, the Bowered Companion. However, there is little known documentation on this god, and the locals have not been forthcoming with further details. With a major trade road at risk and possibly more to follow, the custodians have been instructed to take care of this as quickly as possible. Zeph, you have heard of neglected and forgotten gods lashing out. What detail from the reports makes you think that this one is particularly desperate?
I think the fact that there have been reports that people are actively getting forced out of their vehicles as opposed to just this god wandering upon somebody or calling somebody into the fog. They're interfering with somebody's path as opposed to just kind of feeding along the fringes.
So, you have an initial question here. What is the quickest way to retake the trade road? Destroying the god or appeasing it? It's a complexity too, and it unlocks the next question. You also have a verse here called the Verse of the Abandoned Altar. Each custodian must recall a time when they left something or someone behind and why it still haunts them. But that's for the future. Right now, you're at 2 other assignments. One other thing has come in from the Bureau. They realize that many people have taken the acronym of the full title of the Bureau and have been saying biased. As a result, as a way to refer to it. Forthwith, they have requested and indeed commanded that all custodians in the field now do not include the I in the acronym and instead refer to the Bureau as BASED. Thank you so much for your compliance. Now, custodians of BASED, let's figure out what we're doing. Let's start with Basil and Gage and Taj and Gail Van Wyck and also Mrs. Morell and her salve is another thing. Let's just pick up the scene. So Gail Van Wyck comes out. Taj says, "There she is. I'm completely useless. I just stumble all over my words. I can't do it. You got to help me." What do you do?
Yeah, that's no problem. We'll talk to her for you. Put in a few good words.
Oh, awesome. Great. Thanks. Here. And he goes in and he pulls out like a sandwich, like a kind of sandwich with avocado and mayonnaise on some toast wrapped up in a cellophane. And he says, I was supposed to drop this off to her from the little shop down the street. Maybe that could be your way in.
Certainly, yeah, absolutely.
Nothing
we'll
sweet about this sandwich. It's all savory and herbaceous, I'm afraid. But nevertheless. So what do you do at that point?
How's Basil doing?
Basil is tripping out, man. You look over and he's like eating dirt, and just kind of like licking rocks and like just like trying, and is just kind of like, the world tastes so different. And I think grabs the sandwich and as typical of Basil, just like starts like, he's not gonna like just chomp out of it, but he's gonna tear a little piece off and start like eating it.
I was like, hey, that's not for you.
This
Don't
is
worry. I got you covered. It's fine.
this is not going to work. This is not going to work, Taj. This is not going to work, Gage. This is bad sandwich.
He's like, oh well, I I picked that especially for her. But okay. We'll
Don't
go
worry,
with
I
what
got
you want
something
to
real
do.
special in my pack.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go drop this salve off to Mrs. Morell. Let me know how it goes.
Will do. I think
It's
Gage
it's
will
bad
carefully get
sandwich.
up.
It's bad
Of course
sandwich,
it is.
Gage.
Of
It's
course,
bad
yeah.
sandwich.
That's why you're still eating it.
And he has eaten like half of the sandwich at this point.
So good. I want to check in with Zeph and Japheth and their different scenes. Zeph Harrow, your clue is pretty straightforward. You see at one of the stalls a stall that is actually a repurposed tugboat. From the sign, it looks like you can read it, you can make out revel among ruins, inspired gifts for all occasions. It's a sort of garish carnival booth perched on a dilapidated tugboat. And it's got kind of a circusy kind of like vibe to it. We can talk about it more if you get closer. But the clue is that you see a group of tough looking people harassing the vendor at Revel Among Ruins. And that's your clue. And as they step away off of the barge and come back to the little shore, I think this is the complication. They see you seeing them. And what do you do?
Even though my relationship with the maiden is fraught, I have learned from her the power of just the silent, still, patient waiting. I just maintain eye contact with no facial expression, as if I am going about my day.
Let's do the veiled move. Let's do it with probably focus. What do you afraid is going to happen if you lose your nerve here?
That they take it as a mean, mugging, aggressive look, and I get into some scrappy shit.
Go ahead and roll with your focus, which is a 1.
Okay, that's an 8 plus 1 is 9.
They keep going, but as they walk away back to their vehicle, which is parked up on in the little gravel lot where a lot of other cars are parked, they give you one like glance back. And I'm going to give you the being watched condition.
Everybody's got eyes on me.
Everybody's got eyes on you, Zeph Harrow. What do you do at that point?
If I see them enter their vehicle and leave, I would, I think, do a wide loop back towards the proprietor that they were hassling out of curiosity. But I don't know if I would let them know that I saw what was happening.
On that condition for the being watched, you can put in a bracket, you can specify floating market thugs.
Cool.
As watching you. I'm sorry, say that again. What were we going to do afterwards?
Oh, I was just going to circle around and approach from a different angle and talk to the vendor that they were hassling so as to not signal to them that I saw them being hassled.
Mm-hmm. Japheth, you got a miss. But I'm actually going to, well, we're going to play this out. You can tell me how you're doing with it. It's not anything that's going to like be super problematic. As you're talking to Mog Squamous, this cook at this like food vendor, this vendor that sells god flesh in various forms, you can see on Mog's hands, around her ears, around her mouth and tear ducts, you can see a vermilion rot on her flesh. And you can see that she absently like scratches at it and picks at the rot, and that it definitely causes her some discomfort. What do you do?
Oh man. So I had a failed roll of 3, and I'm assuming things are going to get worse from here. But my plan for my next, sorry, is it called a verse? I think.
Well, you hadn't
Wait,
marked
give me a
one,
second.
so
I haven't marked one, right? But in that sense of maybe marking one to bump it up here, what I had planned just kind of fits pretty well. So we'll see how it goes. Say, God, do I even know her name at this point?
Mog Squamous.
I mean, but I don't know. We haven't really been introduced in that regard. is what I'm
we'll
saying.
say she did.
In
It's
character.
fine. Yeah, we'll say she
Does she
did.
have a little name tag that says?
Yeah.
Anyway, so Mog, I can see her struggling a bit there and dealing with the mollusks from the river, the bits of god flesh that kind of interspecies harvesting can occasionally lead to I don't know, a little something that doesn't match with our human condition so well. And this is where people like me come in. There's a way I can help you. Maybe I can help you. You can help me. If you wouldn't mind just taking my hands for a moment.
Save your breath, Pox Monk. I have seen your type before. No one, no thing, no blessing, no medicine, not even the intercessions of the Pox Martyr can cause this rot to ease.
I see a person in pain though, and looking at your wares here, it's clear that you've dealt with all sorts of flesh, but you're one who sells it for a price.
Before we go any further, do you believe her? Do you believe the Pox Martyr can't clear this rot?
No, not yet. I'm not. At this point, I'm a firm believer. All conditions can be healed through passing them on to me.
She says, it wasn't God flesh that did this to me. Trust me. I know where this came from. Mergen Sketterich.
Mergen Sketterich. And where would I find this Mergen Sketterich?
Why? Do you want to go get a little bit of a little sample for yourself?
I try to heal not just the individuals, but the communities. That there's a way that if I might intercede at an earlier stage in the food chain, so to speak, I might intercept and save physical calamities from passing through a community.
Oh, you have so much to learn, friend. What was it? Japheth, you said your name was?
Yes.
The Sketterich family, like me, has tried everything they can to clear this rot. They can't do it. They send their agents out into the lands trying to find if gods and blessings that they can harness, tap into, pray to clear the rot, and it's never going to happen. They just sit out there in their mansion in the bog, rotting away. But that's what you get when you go digging around for relics of ancient gods that should probably stay buried.
Say, Mog, why don't we just, I see you're not real busy right now. Why don't we just share a bit of, a little plate of god flesh here together?
She ladles out a bowl of steaming tentacles and broth, and she says, truth be told, I really can't taste it anymore. And then she sticks out her tongue, and you see that her tongue is covered in the vermilion rot.
Yeah. Say, Moggs, what do you wash this down with? You have a recommended beverage of sorts?
She has a variety of beers from various brewing gods that she can share with you, certainly.
I say, and I find that if you can kind of pair the work of the teeth and the tongue, that there's a way to, I don't know, restore a sense of delight in life, a sense of delight in what one might consume at the floating market, especially at the Salt and then Smokes floating grill. This of all places seems a place where I can smell the deliciousness of what you cook and prepare here. Again, let me help you. Just take my hands.
She does. She says, I will humor you, Pox Monk. And do you try to heal her?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is your miscondition. You can't. The rot will not go away. And I want you to roll the revelation move upon realizing that Poxmartyr doesn't have the power to clear this rot. How does it make you like? What are you afraid is going to happen if that dawning realization settles in and you react badly?
Oh man, in this community, the polytheistic sort of Silt versus community, to be adrift without a direct attachment to the one god that I've felt a direct attachment to, I'm just sure I'm going to get consumed by the like I'm in a floating market. There's 100 gods within teeth range. I'm going to get chewed and torn apart into little gobbly bits.
Oh, interesting. Wait, so when you touch Mog and you can't heal her, you're scared that it's the Poxmartyr abandoning you.
Yeah, that I've lost faith and being like sitting here like denuded of faith.
Oh,
all the other gods are like, that one. We can get him now.
Interesting. I'm going to say it's worse than that. It's worse than that. I think that Mog might use the opportunity to deliver you to Mergen Sketterich because of a prior arrangement that they had.
All right. Can I invoke my alcohol-soaked wipes here for a bit of advantage on this die roll? And
how will it help you?
My thought is to say, like, our hands are not connecting properly. I must be the one who's soiled here. Let me cleanse my hands and try this a second time.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I mean, it's not going to work, but I like the idea of you justifying in your mind why it's not working, which is
right. Exactly.
Yeah,
like I'm verbally saying it's me who's got the filthy hands and it's my problem, but internally, then I've got this reverse justification of like, actually,
I like it.
Hands were too gross.
Yeah, I like it. Roll with. I think it's going to be focus. None of your conditions apply. You're good to go there.
All right, that is a 10.
Nice.
Actually, 11. Sorry.
Oh, good. Think about what this scene looks like. We'll come back in a moment. I'm going to check in with Basil and Gage. Okay, so you're heading up to talk to Gail Van Wyck then?
Yes.
Let's talk about Gail Van Wyck. She's wearing a hippie dress with added pockets. She has kind of a starry-eyed look. And I imagine her, she looks like kind of, she gives kind of Mary McDonnell vibes, very, like warm, but slightly aloof, beautiful, despite the fact that she's probably twice your age. She says, was that Taj down there I saw you talking with?
Yes, it was, Miss Van Wyck.
Well, I thought he was going to be bringing me up my dinner, but apparently not. Oh, I can't hear you, Gage.
How about that?
Yes.
Gage will say, unfortunately, your sandwich had an unfortunate accident on the way over, and he'll hope that Basil doesn't have too much of mayo on his face. But that's fine. I have a whole selection of goodies in here. Fill you right up.
Oh boy, I hope it's nothing processed. I consider myself a bit of a natural person.
Well, I mean, you don't get much more natural than almost straight from his everlasting sweetness himself.
Where is this going? She says.
Well, I'm hoping we can do each other a couple favors here.
She crosses her arms and leans up against the railing outside of her apartment. And she says, this is getting interesting. What's wrong with your friend?
He had a little too much tea.
Now things are starting to come together a little bit. You're interested in what we're doing over at the Grow facility.
That is the case, yes.
Oh, so are you like wholesalers or something? Are you trying to stock the tea? What's going on, fellas?
Maybe we can leave it at or something.
Okay. Want
As
to play a little
Gage is
coy? That's fine.
as Gage is stalling for time here, Basil is making a new sandwich. He can taste the love that was put into this sandwich, and is
Do you
sort of
have
like
sandwich ingredients?
dissecting it. Well, I have half of a sandwich, and I've got whatever Gage has got, and I am preparing a better form
I think she
of
looks over your shoulder,
of
Gage, and she says,
sandwich.
is that my sandwich?
Partially, yes.
So I've got two somewhat, somewhat unusual, seeming a little duplicitous fellows who may or may not have eaten my sandwich coming up here to learn something. This is all feeling a little cloak and dagger, but like in the stupidest way imaginable.
Well, there's no duplicity intended, Miss Van Wyck. I assure you, Basil here did eat your sandwich. No mystery to it.
Right. Great. Okay. So I feel like I am pretty well in. I'm down a few points here, gentlemen.
Of course, yes.
I have no sandwich, and I have no idea what you're doing here at my apartment.
Listen. The sandwich was just too delicious. This masterpiece that Taj has assembled, is like heavens on earth. It is like tasting the gods themselves.
Okay.
And I apologize for partaking in what he has prepared for you, but
You were just making sure it was good enough, I suppose.
I have this third eye right now, and I could just tell how good it was going to be.
Right. Got
Too
it.
hard to resist for any person, including yourself.
She takes a bite, conspicuously avoiding where your bite came out of. This is a tasty sandwich, I have to admit.
He's wonderful at making sandwiches.
Is he?
Picking sandwiches. He said picking.
He is a very, very nice young man. I love that you, two complete strangers who've showed up on my doorstep, are advocating so strongly for him and his sandwich picking skills. A third
Yes.
mystery to add to this whole scenario. Why would you do such a thing?
Well, you see, that's a bit of a story. You see, Taj there has a bit of a, well, he's sweet on you, Miss Van Wyck, and
Oh,
we promised to put in a good word
I'm
in
pretty
return for some
sure
help.
he is 1/3 my age.
Love knows no numbers, from what I understand.
Oh, let's see. So you're here to convince me to reciprocate or at least give Taj a shot
What
with
you do
me.
with this information, Miss Wick, is entirely
You're
your business.
really bad at this. Do you know that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't you come inside? Let's go inside.
Thank you, ma'am.
And she takes you in
I
to
think for
her.
what it's worth, while Gage was talking, Basil's wandered off.
Okay, good. Where to?
Um, I think he smells something that's just like very intriguing and interesting.
Oh.
And he has headed that way to see what's cooking in one of these other apartments.
Okay, good. I can help you out with that. Let's check back in with Zeph Harrow. Zeph Harrow. Revel Among Ruins, inspired gifts for all occasions, is a garish carnival booth perched on a dilapidated tugboat. Grinning painted mouths encircle twin window stalls, though one is boarded up. A handwritten list of wares is nailed to the outer wall. Items include a range of gifts for children and adults alike, such as hallowed toy soldiers, collectible saint cards, Jolly Crunch Tooth treats, saintly spark kits, a My First Ritual knife set, confessor costumes, prayer mark tracing books, Dreamweaver lollipops, a portable Madam Light radio lantern, forgotten idols packaged with a child-sized hammer for smashing, and various mass-produced plastic icons and licensed deities. Let's paint the scene, everyone. Apart from what we just witnessed, what makes us suspect that this shop is a vendor for illicit goods?
Everything that's displayed on the wall behind the counter and behind the proprietor has a suspicious amount of dust, as if those items have never been moved from the pegboard from which they were attached.
Below the pegboard, there is a track in the dust showing that the pegboard can be swung outward, indicating a secret room behind.
And that handwritten list of what's available, it's kind of clipped or bolted to the frame, but there's enough glass behind it you can get a reflection and see there is writing on the back. There's another list that you can't just access immediately of what's for sale.
The glasswork on some of these toys is really beautiful and magnificent, but to anyone who partakes in particular practices, these are clearly for another purpose.
Zeph, you are met by a slightly shaken man wearing a jaunty cap with two feathers. He has a rather absurd mustache and garish tropical pattern shirt. He is clearly a little shaken, but when he sees a customer, he brightens up as best he can. He shakes it off and he says, hello, welcome to Revel Among Ruins. where we make all your dreams come true. I am Kaz Happy Feet Jr. at your service.
Your father was Happy Feet Sr.?
Well, it's a long story, really.
Yes.
I didn't know my father. I didn't know my mother. I think I was probably born directly from the womb of a god dedicated to making children happy.
I think Zeph at this point will...
I burst forth from a stew, a melange of divine happiness and exhilaration, of mirth, of fun, here, and capitalism.
Zeph has been slowly approaching the proprietor the entire time that they've been talking and has now gotten into the personal space bubble.
Why so glum, chum? It can't be as bad as all that. I believe I have just the thing to cheer you up. Let's turn that frown upside down, unless you prefer it that way. I've also got a book of sad jokes, bitter candies, gloom-tinted glasses. Don't let anyone tell you how to feel. Am I right?
It's nice that you take into account the entire human condition. It's nice to have a spectrum. I'll see your gloom glasses.
Oh.
And your book of sad jokes.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Here's a good one. Why did the chicken cross the road?
I don't know, friend. Why?
Because the family that lived on the other side were starving, and the chicken believes in noble self-sacrifice.
The small workings of tiny gods, I suppose. Are you all right? Can't help but feel like your cheer might be entirely hollow.
And here I'll have you roll the information move, I would say with probably presence and, yeah, just presence, regular dice.
Okay. Okay, that is 8 flat.
I'll come back to this in a moment. Japheth, you are going to play off this whole situation with the rot and why you're not able to clear it. What does that look like?
Oh, so, we're there holding hands. I'm trying to cleanse my hands, attempting this again, saying, this usually works. Usually people can pass on any physical ailment to me. I've been able to do this since I was young. I grew up hungry for food, and clearly this is what you provide to the people. This is how you provide solace, and this is how I provide solace, is to take the ailments, to ease your burdens. So Mog, let's try this just one more time. And I'm there kind of rubbing her knuckles and trying to assuage the vermilion rot into myself. It's just not working. And I look up and I see on the ceiling there's that oil drum of that we described earlier. And I say, I see you've got a drum of Our Lady of the Absent Ink. Have you tried that, Moggs? Have you applied that to... It's good it's an efficacious eradication substance, that ink.
She leans forward and she says, listen, friend. You seem so interested in what's going on with me right now. Do you know the Scatteriches Did Mergen Sketterich send you here? Send you here?
It's interesting you asked that because I was just thinking. I often, as I reach a community, I present as though I arrived here on my own, but truly, I'm here to help the community. I'm sent by a different agency. I'm sent from Based. Maybe you've heard of them.
I don't know, based.
Uh, they like to help communities that are in need and just make sure that everybody prospers. And I feel like the floating market's doing well, but clearly the Sketterich family is taking a price here.
So, yeah, well, she kind of leans back. She says, I don't know what you know about the Sketteriches. I don't really know what based is. I don't know why you're here, fella, but if you're connected to Blue Lotus Foods, if you're connected to Mergen Sketterich or any of that benighted family, I can't help you. I don't know anything. I don't know what's going on. I haven't told anyone about the rot. Okay, I keep it to myself.
Yeah, Mog, that's more of my point is how can I help you? Like I'm here to help. I don't know, can I whip up another batch of Godflesh bites for you while you take a break and tend to personal needs, do a little shopping? I don't know.
And she's getting like really, really nervous now. And she says, you gotta believe me. I didn't know what was going to happen when I took that job at Blue Lotus. I had no idea what the family was up to. I didn't know that Blue Lotus Superfoods was creating products that made people susceptible to hallowing. I think I got to close up now.
Well, let me give you a hand there, Moggs. I'll get the awning.
I don't need any help. Thank you.
Well, Moggs, we'll try again another day. I'm sure. Let me just go research a little bit. I'm sure I can help clear this condition at some point. It's going to work.
I have given you a conspiracy clue, which is Mog Squamous was infected by a red rot that can't be cured, a former associate of Merchant Sketterich and Blue Lotus Foods.
All right.
And that'll be that. Let's check in with Gage and Basil. Basil, I think as you're walking down this sort of like little breezeway in the tenement building, you are nearly tackled by a young kid, a street urchin wearing a salvaged military jacket. He's chasing after a cat. He's like, Pickles, come back, come back. And he like kind of crashes into you. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh, plenty all right. I was not really watching where I'm going.
Have you seen my cat? Well, it's
Your
not my cat. It's just a cat, but I've sort of adopted him, I guess.
Is it someone else's cat?
And he says, well, some people say it's not a cat at all. Some people say it's a god called Nine Lives, but I just call him Pickles.
Pickles. It looks like a normal cat.
Yes. Are you okay?
No, not really.
Okay. Do you
What?
work over at the grow facility?
Would working there give me access to the grow facility?
I don't. I'm just a kid, man. I don't know.
If it does, yes. If it doesn't, let's look for your cat.
I can't help you with that. I'm 10.
Then let's find pickles.
Right. Okay, cool. Let's do it. He sometimes likes to climb up to the top of the building. Maybe you can help me. There's a ladder over here. I can't quite reach it to pull it down.
Um, sure, I can go over and reach and pull down the ladder.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Gage, inside of Gail Van Wyck's apartment, it's very, it's very green goddess, earth mother kind of situation. There are lots of there's a little shrine to some harvest god or other, piled up with various offerings of soil and decorated with flowers and things. She has, even like down to like the choice of patterns in her kitchen dishcloths and wallpaper. There's like, plants and abundance, right? Images like that. And all of her furniture is wicker, rattan. Um, she says, "Oh, welcome to my little abode."
Well, thank you kindly. This is very cozy.
Yes, I don't get to spend as much time here as I would like. I spend all of my time down at the warehouse, I'm afraid.
And if you don't mind me asking, what is it you do at the warehouse?
I'm a plant tender. I,
Oh,
yeah, I, I look after the things that grow and grow and grow. Make sure they get plenty of water, plenty of, well, not sunlight, I'm afraid, but we have rather interesting UV light situation going on over there.
oh, really?
Mhm.
I grew up on a farm actually. I'm familiar with things that grow and grow and grow.
Yeah. You look like you were raised on a farm. Would that
Is
be
it
a big?
the muscles the farmer's tan or the half attached leg?
She laughs at your joke. And she says, "With that farm, would that be a small local family farm, or would it be one of those big corporate Jolly Crunch Tooth farms?"
Well, bit of column A and a bit of column B.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Let me guess. Your family sold access to your harvest god to Crunchtooth, incorporated it into the Crunchtooth faith.
Yes, the bottomless bowl's reach is ever expanding, and my family was happy to join the family.
Hmm. Well, no judgment from me, but I like, well, I tend to favor the harvest gods that are still, a little bit more directly connected to the land. I have somewhat mixed feelings about this harvest god that, oh, well, but then I shouldn't really talk about that, should I?
I think Gage will look really conflicted for a moment and say, I might be the best person to talk about with it, actually.
Hmm. Let's take a walk. And she will take you downstairs. You'll see You'll see Basil and a 10-year-old boy on a ladder as you walk by, going down to the courtyard. She takes you down there, and we'll pick up the scene in a moment. Let's just take a 5-minute break here. Zeph, you had done the information move, correct?
Yes, and I got a middling result.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if you'll let me mark a verse to succeed.
Um, I'll let you decide. The complication may not be that complicated.
Understood.
Um, hmm. I think as you are talking to Kaz, he keeps looking down and to the right. I think he's behind his little window. He keeps looking down and to the right. And at a certain point, he mutters, he says, "Not now. I'm just dealing with a customer." And you talk a little bit more. And then he kind of like stops and he looks down and to the right and he says, "I really don't know why we have to go through this again. I told you I'm feeling perfectly fine. I don't need your gentle ministrations." Now, where were we? And what do you do when you see him kind of having this like little side conversation with something down there?
So this is a tugboat, right?
It is,
Like that's
yeah.
been repurposed. So am I like
Yeah.
on the deck of the tugboat?
You're on the deck of the tugboat. Yeah, there's little
like the
windows.
column, and he's in this sealed little box. And he's talking to something literally off
inside.
screen.
Yeah,
Window.
off screen.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, I tap on the glass. I do. I get like just really interestedly close, as if I am trying to peer at the wares that I would like to purchase.
Mhm.
And I'm like face smooshed on the glass and like tippy tapping with excitement, trying to create some sort of reaction.
I think um I'm going to um
Zeph's personal experience with gods is that like at least there's glass between me and it, so I want to see
yeah.
that like suckers on the window kind of
No, I
like
like
I'm
it.
trying to provoke it.
I think what you actually see it. You see what he's talking to. What he's talking to is he has on the seat of the chair where he normally sits. He has what appears to be a little toy, a doll in the shape of like a caterpillar with like a happy little sweet face, and it glows. And here's your actual clue. At one point, he says, "I really don't think we should be talking about this right now. We have a customer. Like I told you, I think it's probably best that we didn't let that person drown themselves. Very sorry. Sorry. I'm so distracted, but I'm so happy. I'm happy and I feel emotionally supported right now, and would never do anything resembling self-harm."
Huh?
Is there anything else I can help you out with?
How much for the caterpillar? It's pretty. Twinkles.
Um,
Can I use it as like a nightlight when I'm on the road? Like in the car, it'd be nice if I could like read.
How much do you know about that caterpillar toy?
You would be the specialist here.
That's a gloam, the gently glowing caterpillar with the soothing voice. It was a mass-produced toy that was maybe pulled off of the market, and I might have ended up with a small supply of them. And that one's mine.
Supply means more than one, friend. I thought you were happy. Thought I was the customer.
All right. Okay. All right. Fine. Yeah, fine. Okay, sure.
I would like to feel emotionally supported in this moment. Is that okay? Is that okay with you, friend?
Yes, of course. The customer's always right. Ha ha. Well, and he goes and he gets another gloam. It's a choice of gloams: green, pink, purple. What's your poison?
I guess green.
He gives you the pink, almost like cherubic faced little glowing caterpillar doll. And he says, on the house.
Zeph just has it by the scruff, like right behind the antennae.
Yeah. I mean, it's big. It's like a doll size thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess much like a teen at a festival with a glow stick, I wander back out with this, thinking
Indeed.
in Zeph's head that I have found something truly illicit, and I'm sure that this will lead to more clues. And
You can add the
problem.
gloam. You can add the gloam to your altar, but there's a little bit of a problem here.
Mm-hmm.
At a certain point, as you're walking through the market, you hear from your backpack or wherever you stored the thing. So how are you feeling right now?
Zeph is, out of experimentation, just going to ignore the voice.
I'm sensing you're feeling a little exasperated. Maybe you should eat something. I would like the revelation move. What do you think is going to happen right now as you listen to this gloam speak to you from your bag?
I am a little hungry, and that spooks me out a lot. So I think that the psychological tie to this gloam will become very problematic, and that is my fear.
I think it's worse than that. The gloam, you start to realize, or maybe the gloam convinces you, that he could be really helpful when you're assisting the dying.
Hmm. 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 So remember earlier when I said, gee, I'd love to mark a verse. Can I succeed on this, or do I have? Oh, I have to roll on the revelation move. So
Yeah,
I
it's
have
a
to
revelation
items
move.
for
Yeah,
advantage.
yeah.
Okay.
If you're okay with the stakes, we'll roll. Yeah,
I'm gonna see if
it's going to be with communion.
Well, I love that -1 a lot. So
And I think
let's see.
because of the embrace, I'm going to put you at disadvantage. Actually, you're getting an
Got touched by a
emotional
lot of
hug.
gods earlier. I don't know
Emotional
why.
hug.
Yep, I have absolutely nothing to help with this, so I'm going to roll at a disadvantage. Oh, okay. As a 5, -1 is a 4.
Interesting indeed. I'm going to memorialize this moment by giving you a condition that is emotional support gloam. And the gloam,
okay.
if you're okay with that, if you're gonna keep going with this, the gloam says, I've been in communication with the Cairn Maiden. She thinks I could be really, really helpful to assist the dying, the soon to be dying, or the needs to be dying. Some people just want to be supported and held in their final moments.
Zeph is already pretty sure that they know who's supposed to die, and I think I do want to check a verse and avoid this emotional manipulation gloam.
Very well. You can not have the condition, and the gloam will just be in your backpack, a helpful altar item for marking the verse.
Thank you very much.
Let's cut over to Japheth. Japheth, as you are kind of going away from the Salt and Smoke, you will hear a voice you recognize say, "Ha ha ho! As I live and breathe, Japheth de los Santos."
Mm.
There's a woman who you know, wearing a leather trench coat, shaved head, constellation tattoos. She has a bandolier of vials containing antidotes and emergency prayer scrolls. Her name is Calamity Jones. She is a former custodian. This is how you know her, from the work that you used to do, or the work that she used to do at Based Nay Biased.
Let's say Calamity Jones. It's been too long.
She's
Should
on
we
a
hug it out?
barge. She's on a barge that has a
Okay.
sign that says Jones and Company, Theological Containment and Dissolution Services.
And dissolution services, you said?
Dissolution, like
Oh,
dissolving.
dissolution. Okay, got it. I'll say permission to come aboard, Calamity.
Oh, permission granted, sailor. Step aboard. And she gives you a little one of those. And she says, "I'm in the private sector now. Got me a surefire way of dealing with problem gods. You want to see it?"
Absolutely. That comes in handy in our line of work, as you well know.
Very well, very well. Step on board.
Oh,
You will notice some other people there as well. There is a man who's wearing a captain's hat. He's a double amputee, rolling around on a little office chair, and there's another person, very very tall individual with knotted forearms, slick with oily filth, wearing a full face mask with tinted goggles and holding a shovel. She says to the man with the captain hat that's Twinge Moulton. He inspects the goods to be dissolved. And this is Red Gill, our shoveler. He shovels. Good with a shovel, too. I'll tell you what, when it comes to sticking in your instrument and pulling it out, no one can beat Red Gill. Isn't that right, Red Gill? He says nothing. He's just silent behind his mask.
yeah, it's important to have a little prowess in the back and forth once in a while.
She says, "This here," and she slaps this big, heavy industrial chest. It has reinforced corners and padlocks on each side. "This is Pit in a Box." That's the working name. We haven't come up with the title. I'm not sure if we're going to be putting this thing in mass production or not. For right now, we sort of just handle everything ourselves with the one pit in the box we've got. But boy, oh boy, does it do the job. You throw in a god, an angel, a saint, whatever you got. If it goes in the pit, it's gone for good, like it never existed. Pretty
Yeah, but
incredible
like,
stuff.
don't you have to open the lid to shovel more in? Isn't that a chance for it to open and release what's inside?
Nope. Because once it goes in the box, it is gone forever. And then she kind of pops open the lid, and you see that there is a series of precision-aligned custom prayer marks of various gods, she explains: the patient void, the equalizer, the endless stream from which we are born and shall return. And all together, these various prayer marks inside the box work to create a void that literally obliterates divine power into nothingness.
I'll give one of those long, slow, appreciative whistles, that kind of thing. That is some impressive work. Did you learn that glyph work in the agency?
Fuck yes, I did.
Is there a way you could give me a quick little lesson or two, train me a bit?
Here, give me
Still in
something.
service.
Give me you got something on you? Give me I don't know,
Man,
small rat god or something. Give me whatever you got. We'll throw it in
Small
there.
rat.
Yeah.
Oh, you need a god.
An angel will do.
Man, do I have it? damn thing. I got this saran wrap sandwich. It's been around a while. It might be animate by now. It might be
No,
self-aware.
no, 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 no. She slams the lid closed.
Damn it.
So how have you been, Japheth?
Uh, walking, healing, doing work for well,
How are the
you know
pencil
them as
pushers?
you
The
know them as
bias
bias,
doing?
but they've changed. We're now based. It's
Oh, brother.
we dropped the I.
Oh, boy.
I think there was some public imagery they were a little concerned with. You got out at the right time, honestly. You got out when the getting was good.
Yeah, well, and here I'm going to paint the scene, everybody. Despite its humble appearance, how can we tell that the providers of this service, such as they are in fact quite experienced and competent in their work, which is to say, destroying divine matter?
I think there's a pile of just kind of almost like coal that is just sort of like the byproduct of this in some way that they then use to like fuel the barge.
I think in the realm of the third eye, those of us who commune very deeply with our gods step aboard this boat and feel a noticeable absence, like a lack of a engine sound in an electric car. It feels absent.
It's the gulls. If you were to kind of look around the wharf here, uh, there's a surprising number of healthy-looking gulls that seem to linger and roost on this barge, and comparatively, there's just fewer, and they're a little more oddly formed. They're a little more disattuned to the natural world in a way. So something here just sort of seems healthy and pristine in the bird populace.
I think there is a stack of holy scriptures or other little relics that they've saved as souvenirs of the deities and angels they've taken care of.
Oh, that's good, actually. I like that. She says, actually, you know what? And she goes to this stack of like Bibles and things, and she grabs this holy text. She says, now, this as a holy text of, and she kind of flips through, what is this? Oh, Jesus Christ. Ugh. Whew. She wouldn't say Jesus Christ, of course.
No, but it could be.
But it could be. Yeah, it could be. She says, okay, well, she sets it down. She says, this holy book is infused with the power of the Saint Electric. And everyone knows that when you have a holy schematic of the Saint Electric, that schematic is infused with the divine spark, correct?
Indeed, it's the only way to repair, is what my understanding of it.
Just idly handling this in a sloppy or careless way could bring forth the maiden's wrath, correct?
And I've heard that if you should dare to invert it, that it just reverses polarity and hell's a popping from there.
None of that bullshit matters in the pit. And she flips open the box and she tosses the schematic down, and it just like dissolves, like just the blackness just swallows it and it's gone. She's like, easy peasy. Divine insight, divine revelation, divine power snuffed just like that. The pit in a box. Patent
Again,
pending.
how did you build this though? And are you
Trade
destroying-
secrets. Are you here spying for
No,
based?
no. But are you destroying? We're out there to take care of these renegade
Listen,
unauthorized
if you have
divinities,
a
but are you taking care
connection,
of authorized ones too? Because the
if you have
salamandric's, I think, pretty
listen,
authorized.
listen. If you have a connection to based, I mean, we can get these things in larger scale production. I mean,
Oh,
there's no more need to work with the communities or try to bring these stray gods, back into
hmm
the fold, or learn how to
hmm
do proper, environmentally sound ritual practices with these stray gods, et cetera, et cetera. I heard about what you all got up to in Weft, by the way. No need for any of that. We
hmm
just put the god right in the box.
Yeah.
Done.
Do you have one of these in like a canteen size, like a little more portable?
Mm,
I travel a lot.
we have not reached that level of refinement in our construction process. That's probably the third or fourth generation pit in a box. Pit in a box slim. That's pretty
Yeah,
good, right?
pit in a pack. Yeah.
And she says, "Once again, how have you been?"
Uh, good. I got this like fungal rot thing, but that'll go away eventually. Don't worry about it.
You pox monks. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, that's
you
how it
just
is.
put all kinds of shit in your mouth.
Yeah. Um, in fact, a pit for ailments would also be useful if you can
Put your
sort
head in
of
there, see
work
what
this for the
happens.
human condition. Sorry?
Put your head in there, see what happens.
That seems a little trepidatious about that. Not feeling.
You don't think the pox martyr will protect you?
I'm a little more worried that that box
If
might summon the
you,
Parks Mutter out of me.
if your hands are a direct conduit to the pox martyr, if you are in some sense the pox martyr whenever you do the pox martyr's work,
Right,
is it possible if you thrust your hands into the pit in a box that the pox martyr would be destroyed? I wonder.
right. That's what I'm concerned about. Like, Pox Martyr serves a purpose. I understand we have to get rid of the illegal divinities, but there's certain ones that people don't like to talk about them, but
Red
there's
Gill's standing
needs.
right over your shoulder with his big mask, and he just goes, "Shovel."
Yeah, indeed. Shoveling though is you're on a boat. You don't do a lot of shoveling on a boat. Um, Red Gill, do you ever get inland and never deal with funerary services? Because I hear that the Cairn Maiden every now and then needs a little assistance with burial of corpses.
Um, Speaking of which, you might actually see Zeph at this point wandering by, talking or
Uh,
conspicuously not talking to her backpack. I don't know, or their backpack. What do you do?
yeah, I'll wave Zeph down and say, Zeph, come on over, come on over. We were just talking about burial and funeral rites and skills with shovels, and it does seem like. By the way, this is Calamity Jones. We used to work together back in the day.
Oh,
Back when I was
are you
biased.
part of Based as well?
Based.
Biased.
Oh yeah, I read that memo. That it's just so like them.
So I'm gonna take that as a yes. You're a
And
follower of the Cairn Maiden. Cool. We don't need your services here yet, though. Twinge, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
yeah, I don't really like to bury strangers if I can help it. Japheth, sorry, did you need something?
Well, I thought you might like to meet Calamity. Calamity's been useful in a pinch in the past several times, and there's some stuff we should talk about too. But in a moment, in a bit, after we get something to eat back in the harbor here. Um, but I am you might want to see this box. Calamity's built a hell of a containment unit that might be useful to us, or something like it might be useful to
Well,
us in our work.
I was just telling Japheth, if you're out in the field and you got a problem with I don't know, some stray forest god or some wandering backyard saint that got out of its fence, just bring it to me and I will non-exist that bitch.
Wow. And Zapheth reaches into, they don't have a backpack, it's like deep interior pockets in their leather jacket. So like full Mary Poppins arm into a pocket and pulls out a gloam.
The gloam is whispering to you in a soothing voice. "Oh, you really don't want to do this right now."
I think it's important you know I can.
Duly noted. Duly noted. And now we should talk about your anger issues, don't you think?
Shh. Japheth, I got this in town. Neat, huh?
Japheth, you don't hear anything. That was only for Zeph.
Oh, really? Excellent. That's it's a little unlike you, Zeph, collecting children's toys, but I can see the appeal. It's got the big googly eyes and stuff. Yeah, looks charming.
Let's cut over to Basil and Gage. Gage, Gail Van Wyck takes you down. Had you actually gotten a roll on her yet for information move, or was this?
I have not, no.
Okay, go ahead and do it now. Let's just see how this is going to go. It's going to be the information move. I think probably with presence, based off everything that we've kind of done. Do you want to give her a sweet treat to help your situation here?
Ooh. Let's see. Sure, I'll try that. And yeah, I'll do that with presence.
What do you offer her?
Well, so I know that she's more inclined toward things that are closer to the source than the overly processed things.
Mm.
So he's going to offer a package of uh, it's like a granola mix. It's just a bunch of different things, but what it doesn't say on the box is that it's all just leftovers from the various other Sweet Jolly Crunch Tooth products. There's a bit of everything in there, and it's called a Crunchy Gob.
Crunchy gob. Good crunch for your gob. She's kind of munching on that. She's like, this stuff is actually pretty good.
See, it's not all. Some of it's not bad.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead and roll. See if you get any. If she's or roll. One bite is never enough. See if she's under your sway here.
With present, vitality and presence, same. That's 10.
10, nice. On a hit, they are put at ease by your cheerful demeanor. Any follow-up rolls during interactions with them are taken at advantage. And at that point, you can go ahead and roll with presence for the information move at advantage.
That is 11.
Nice, good. Okay, so I owe you a clue. I do want to check in with Basil really quickly, get Basil going here. The little boy says, "My name is Lucas, by the way," as you get up to the roof. Lucas Green.
Pleasure to meet you, Lucas Green. Lucas, let me tell you a little story. In the mountains outside of the peninsula, there's a cat. The cat eats coffee beans and poops those coffee beans out. And the people brew that up, and it's almost superior to what the Grinding Lord has ever made, from what I hear. I hypothesize, Lucas Green, that your cat, Pickles, probably eats some of the tea. And if we can find a little bit of Pickles' excrement, I can brew up a tea for us, and we can follow it. We can sense it. We can connect with it and discover where Pickles is right now.
He says, "Mister, you seem like a nice guy, but I'm not drinking cat poop tea."
You don't have to.
Oh. Okay. Well, okay. So you think that Pickles has been eating whatever they're growing over at the warehouse?
Why not? What else does Pickles eat? Sandwiches? The sandwiches here are terrible.
And he says, "Well, okay, that's an interesting idea." And then he kind of looks up. He says, "Oh, look. Look there. It's Twinkle Twinkle." the god of childhood wishes. Looking up at the sky. He's like, quick, 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 do you got a piece of paper?
Yes, of course.
And he takes out a old, kind of clicky pen from his little military jacket, oversized kind of military jacket. He's like, I always try to write my wish whenever I see Twinkle Twinkle, and then throw it into the air like you're supposed to do, and Twinkle Twinkle is supposed to grant your wish. It hasn't happened yet, though, so I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong or not.
You know that practice that you're following, related to Twinkle Twinkle, maybe the problem is that it's not Twinkle Twinkle that you should be throwing that wish to,
Mm.
but a much more powerful being.
Oh, really?
One that can be with us wherever we want.
He's like,
Excellent Scrivener. And instead of that pen, I'm going to give him one of mine.
oh, Mark Ink. He says, okay. And he writes down his wish. Okay. All right. I think I've done it. And then he folds the piece of paper into a paper airplane so I can throw it into the air. He says, you really think I'm going to get my wish?
Whether you get your wish or don't get your wish, it is the will of the waxen Scrivener, and we take lessons from that. Sometimes it wants us not to have our wish in order to better understand its power, its love.
Well, I haven't been getting my wish for a long time now.
What is your wish? Maybe I can write it down here. We can double the power. Exponential growth on your wish's potential.
He says, yeah, it's stupid.
There are no stupid wishes.
Well, I guess I want my parents to come back.
I'll jot it down. Basil is thinking, that's a stupid wish.
He's getting ready to throw the plane. And he says a little prayer to Twinkle Twinkle and the waxen Scrivener and throws his little plane. Okay. Let's go find Pickle's poop.
Let's go find Pickle's poop. And I jot down another wish, which is to find some Pickle's poop.
Oh, very good. Fantastic. I like all that. That's good. We might just fast forward to whatever that outcome of that scene is going to be here in a bit. Let's do a couple more scenes. Zeph and Japheth. I'm not sure there's anything else to learn at Jones and Company, except you're trying to figure out what is the most dangerous thing being sold at the black market. And you've got a few contenders here. There's Pit in a Box, there's Godflesh Bites, there's the Gloams, maybe. Who knows what's going on? But at a basic level, you're trying to figure out what is the problem, the problem stray divinity being sold here. And so what are the two of you up to at this point?
Well, Zeph, I wanted to tell you in our time meandering the market here, I've learned about there's a Blue Lotus food that seems to be passing on a vermilion rot to people. And I don't know if they have a stall here or if it's a distributor, but we might want to peek into that. Also heard about a Mergen, let me check my notes here, Mergen Sketterich. Does that name ring a bell? I feel like I've heard that name before.
Zeph personally, or Sarah doesn't know, Zeph would have to roll some sort of history check, which is the wrong game. So no, that doesn't ring. A Skitterich, you said?
Yeah, just, I don't know, maybe thought I heard about it in Weft or something, I don't know. Anyway, point is, we've got a couple leads if we want to check some things out. I feel like this Blue Lotus Foods is a is a source of some problems.
There's no outpost of Blue Lotus Foods here at this floating market.
I think that telekinetically, I'm going to talk to this loam in my backpack and asks its opinion on what's going on in the rest of this market. Because if it can just instantly understand without connection to my like brainstem what's going on inside my head, I have a feeling that this critter might see more, know more.
You can take the information move with communion.
Can I use it like a dowsing rod, like point the gloam and it gets brighter?
And mark it for advantage. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
So I'm going to do another investigation of the stalls and things and see if the gloam has any reactions. Does being watched, do you want that to cause a disadvantage on this roll?
I don't think so. No, you're okay.
Flat. Insight is a 9 + 2 for 11.
That's good. And I think as you're roaming around with the gloam, trying to figure out what's going on, the gloam leads you to... One second, I need to cough.
Zeph, are you holding out that caterpillar and following it?
It knows more than it's not a toy, Japheth. And then proceeds to continue to hold it up and scan like in Star Trek.
The gloam leads you to Speedy Supplications, an antique newspaper stall mounted on an old shipping barge crammed with mass-produced miracle cards, prayers and invocations from countless obscure faiths and near-forgotten gods. A sign cautions customers to speak softly, if at all, to avoid invoking any of the cards accidentally. Let's paint the scene, everyone. Name a miracle card that might catch the custodian's eye. What god does it invoke, and what blessing does it promise to bring into your life?
I think there is a card from the forgotten and in some places outlawed god, Old Jack of the 1,000 Years, promising to keep your houseplants free from disease and infestation.
There is a prayer card to the inevitable darkness that promises to send your pets, grandparents, and loved ones off to a peaceful sleep.
All right, so I'm still struggling with the name here. Sally Sanitation, sort of medical bandage. It's not. This one's actually not a card. It's just actually the ripped front of a box that once held gauze, and it's somebody's like trying to sell it as a card. They just trim the edges nicely. And it says Sally Sanitation, cleaner bandages never to be found anywhere. Treats all your ills. Just slap it on and worry no more.
There's a card for the Saint of the Buzzard's Fire, which promises safe passage across the sea off of the peninsula.
Zeph, here's your clue. When you arrive at this stall, you overhear someone, a woman, talking to the vendor. The vendor, I should probably describe the vendors. The vendor is wearing a lace veil, white cotton archivist gloves, earmuffs. They're sitting cross-legged in the center of the stall, surrounded by these cards, reaching fluidly in all directions with their multiple arms. They have 4 arms. Each arm has 6 fingers. This vendor is some sort of saint themselves or some sort of blessed individual. And they keep like trying to get this person to, they don't respond verbally to this person. They keep trying to get them to be quiet, to get them to move away. But this person keeps talking about, you have to help me find my daughter. Where is she at? How come no one around here wants to talk about her? And at this point, I think probably somebody will come and collect this woman who's clearly in a panic. And that's your clue. A woman or a missing child that no one will talk about here at the market.
All right.
And you'll be approached by another customer, actually. This customer is wearing clunky boots covered in dirt. She appears to be like she just got out of the garden. And she says, sad, sad story. I've been hearing about that kid. Went missing at the market a few weeks ago. I'm Hob.
Hi. Hob. Weeks ago?
Weeks ago.
Well, doesn't that mean she drowned?
Oh, who can say what happened? I don't know. Heard all sorts of things.
Well, I think you probably tell me at least a few more things you've heard, because death does interest me.
She might see some of your prayer marks or whatever you might have on your body, and she'll say, oh, I'm a follower of different garden gods, and we do a lot of digging. I think perhaps we're a little simpatico, eh?
Perhaps we can find commonality in the dirt after all. What have you heard about this child?
Make the information move with presence.
Come on, dice. All right, that's a 9 plus. My presence is 0. That is a 9.
Japheth, what are you doing right now?
Man, what am I doing? I guess watching the interaction for the moment. I feel like I was led here by a caterpillar doll, and it just doesn't really make sense. We're meandering the market, but I'm a little worried about Zeph's well-being right now. So I think I'm more, if anything, a distraction to Zeph, being like, Zeph, are you all right? Did you have any of that god flesh? Because you seem a little out of sorts.
Japheth, you were the one eating everything at the market. Now, shh, this woman, she has clues.
But I'm mainly looking for the Blue Lotus Foods, and this is a newspaper vendor. I think that, I don't know if it's words that we're looking for. I think we're looking for consumable.
Company. They sell supplements, not newspapers, right? Did I miss something? Or is the supplemental like a newspaper edition? Did I miss a word?
Supplications.
Supplications.
Oh.
Prayer cards.
Then, well, I thought you would be interested in getting to know the local community. Japheth, may I introduce? I'm sorry.
Hob.
Your name was Hob.
Hob. Just here, picking up some prayer cards for the gardens.
What grows this time of year in the dirt, Hob?
Oh my goodness, this time of year, you're lucky to get root vegetables, this hard, cold earth. But, maybe with a little bit of extra help, and she dangles one of the cards, we can get, I don't know, maybe something a little unseasonal, some radishes, say. Or spring peas, that would be lovely. You know, everything takes its own time, I suppose. Some plants grow faster than others. Gods grow slow, real slow. Well,
They have
Depends
more
on how you
time than the rest of us.
I hear it depends on how you fertilize them.
that's true. Some of them seem to pop out of nowhere, don't they? Those ones are never good. And I think that's your clue.
Gods that pop out of nowhere?
Mm-hmm. Are never good.
Mm-hmm.
No further complication. I think we'll just leave it at that. Gage, Gail Van Wyck has taken you down into the courtyard, and she's enjoying this food. She's really, I think two of you are kind of like hitting it off pretty well. You keep seeing Taj come out onto the little railings of the higher floors, looking down, seeing what's going on, trying to get like a visual status report from you, like how are things going, you know. And at a certain point, Gail says, "Oh, stop right there. Can you hear it? It whispers from the soil. It cries to break through the concrete. And if you listen, if you know how to listen, it will share its secrets with you. It gives so freely. And I think we should do the same. That's where all the problems of the world come from, pure selfishness. I'm talking about the harvest god, of course, the one that we have in the warehouse over there. I can't say I completely approve with them keeping it trapped as they are, but it finds a way. It's finding a way to break through.
They do that, yes. Problem is, that could put other people at risk, and that's why I'm here.
She says, I can tell you're a good person.
I appreciate that.
And I think you're probably here to make right what's going on over there. Am I right?
I'm just trying to make it so as few people as possible get hurt.
Well, then you should probably start here. And she pulls out of her apron pocket a dog-eared farmer's almanac, the margins full of hurriedly scrawled notes. I think everything you need to know will be found in these pages. In
He'll
the
take a look at it.
meantime, tell Taj he's welcome to come by my apartment tomorrow morning for tea and cake. And
I'm
nothing
sure he will
more.
appreciate that. Oh, of course, I appreciate your help on that matter and this one.
If you wait until the morning, after I'm done with Taj, I can take you over to the grow facility.
Well, if I'm still here, I'll take you up on that.
Okay, good, great. Meanwhile, Basil, we'll fast forward to you drinking, trying to commune somehow with, I don't know, it's all very strange. Information move with communion in any case. Let's see how you do.
It's an 8.
8. As you further open up your new awareness, trying to find pickles or something else, I'm sure. You will actually... You will start to notice something that is highlighted with your new senses. It is not something that you would notice if you didn't know where to look. But with your new sensory abilities, you are able to see things. You're actually able to see the cat jumping from ledge to ledge, roof to roof, patio to patio. And everywhere the cat lands, you'll notice that nearby there are faint prayer marks painted on the walls. And those prayer marks are sprouting moss and tiny red flowers, which glow in your awareness. That's your clue. I'll clip that for you here. And because I owe you a complication, I will say that you are being watched by Pickles. Pickles is aware of you too. How do you know that Pickles is aware of you, just as you are aware of Pickles?
I think that whenever I look back up into the sky to check on Twinkle Twinkle, um, there is instead like the faint outline. It's kind of like starry, like the same amount of light that stars would be, but it's like a cat head in space in the
You're,
sky
I
looking
love it.
down at me.
You already have a being watched condition, so I've just changed it to be being watched by Pickles, just
Okay,
making it specific.
got it. Advance it. Cool.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's good. I have to wrap up a little early today, so we'll just do like another scene or two, and then we'll go straight to Stars and Wishes, or end of session, then Stars and Wishes.
Do we want to take a crack on answering the first question of the floating market? We have many clues.
I feel like a good.
That sounds like a good. You do have a fair number of clues there. Let's review the clues. There is the can labeled with White Gull River Canning Company that you found on the side of the road, so maybe there's a connection there to some canning company. Glottage cop car speeding down the road. Thugs hassling the Revel Among Ruins operator. Side conversation with that operator with the gloam indicating someone was drowned against their will. A missing child no one will talk about. And gods that pop out of nowhere are never good. What do we think? It's a fairly easy question. Complexity too.
I'm making the pitch that it is the gloam.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first clue incorporating the fact that that gloam indicated that someone was drowned is a fairly positive
That's
sign
trouble.
that this is dangerous.
Yeah.
I think that the thugs hassling the Revel Among the Ruins proprietor could very easily be explained by perhaps those thugs were hired by somebody who was sold a gloam and then consequently killed themselves or other people, or like there could be
so there's
some
a problem with the merchandise.
Yeah. And that's two.
I can give you two more here, maybe. The gods that pop up out of nowhere are never good is an actual reference to the packaging of the glooms. They're sold in these little like pop cans and spraying out.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that. That would give you a +1.
And then if we want to pull in the Glottage cop car speeding down the road, I think I can make this work because in our opening summary, it says that, where did I go there? The Bureau's concerned that this is not something that can be left to the Greater Glottage Police Department to handle alone, given their surge in corruptions. What if these glooms have become kind of a collectible figurine of sorts, collectible means of communion? And when one pops up for sale, the people rush there, and the cop cars have the sirens on. Like they heard that one's for sale, they're going to go grab it before anybody else can grab it.
That feels like a bit of a stretch, I think, but I love the pop can clue.
I love the pop-up
Pitch
can.
an alternate on that?
Yeah.
There's an alternate pitch. I have something for the child too after that.
Okay, go ahead. I mean, only it's just a complexity too. You don't have to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
+2, why not?
Yeah.
Um, so we talked about you open the can, it pops out, and then the can is useless. So what if the White Gull River Canning Company takes all of those cans and is recycling them? And so the thing that we notice about the can is that it's actually a glom can.
Oh.
It's a
That's
bit too
fabulous.
big for just like a regular
Oh, and maybe there's a danger of the gloam essence seeping out into the public because of that. Oh, that's
yeah.
interesting. That's pretty good. That would indicate that yes, this is the most dangerous product
I'm into
happening
your pitch,
here.
Mike.
Yeah, that's interesting. So maybe there's a bigger problem. Maybe it's okay. Yeah, the gloams. Maybe he has a lot more of the gloams than he's claiming. He might have a whole ton of them
The
that he's
Gloam might be
selling.
doing a lot of talking for him too, right?
Yeah,
Gloams don't
yeah.
want us to know how many there are.
Maybe the gloams convinced somebody at White Gull Canning Company to to use those cans.
I mean that, and they could have infiltrated the police, and
Who
this is why
knows? Who
Body
knows?
Snatchers is so horrible.
It's a +2. Whoever wants to roll it, it's good. It's good theory. I like it.
I'll do it. Have to roll for solutions occasionally. +2.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, all Gloams in the chat. Love it. All right. That is a 10 +2.
Fantastic. You are correct, and you do unlock the next question, and you are able to focus your investigation as well. Your next question then is going to be there's two questions actually. The first is, how can the product be neutralized? That's complexity 4. Opportunity: resolve the assignment by destroying or severing any divine influence from the product so that it no longer presents a threat. Alternatively, complexity 6, how can the custodians take advantage of the opportunities the market presents? That's interesting. Resolve the assignment by negotiating an exclusive arrangement with the product vendor so that they will not endanger the public. The custodians may now return to the floating market, triggering the journey phase to pursue unique opportunities. And there's different things that happen every time you revisit the floating market. So basically, you all would be like co-opting the situation.
I did. Just for clarity, I was talking to Brian in the next room. It was a 10 on the dice +2.
Oh, so it's 12.
I misspoke. Yeah.
So I'm not sure what I have to go look at the move. I don't remember what a 12 does.
Do I need a master, or not a conspiracy clue, maybe?
Well, let's answer a question. On a 12 plus, the answer is correct as on a 10 plus, but the events are also connected to the conspiracy. Someone from the conspiracy will reveal themselves to the custodians while they are pursuing the opportunity. Oh, I think I've got it.
Okay.
I think, Japheth, you see, basically as you're coming to terms with this, you actually see those thugs. Those thugs are getting into a Blue Lotus Superfoods van and driving away. That is the connection. Interesting. That feels pretty good. I like that. I think that might be kind of good to go for floating market today. Let's check in with the other group and then we'll wrap our sesh. Gage, anything else? What do you do when you're done with Gail Van Wyck? Really, what are you doing for the rest of the night, I suppose?
I think I'd be trying to catch up with Basil, make sure he hasn't walked off a roof or otherwise hurt himself.
I think Basil, if you are okay with being found, I think you'll be up there with Lucas. And before Gage climbs up to the roof, Lucas is saying, I really hope Twinkle Twinkle and the Waxen Scrivener grant my wish. I don't even care if my real daddy actually shows up. I just want anyone. I just want a dad.
Just keep writing, and wherever those notes fall, maybe a dad will appear.
Gage, as you're climbing up the ladder that you saw Basil and Lucas going up, one of these little paper airplanes floats down, and you can catch it if you wish. Do you?
Yep. Yeah,
You
that sounds terrible. So yeah.
Gage comes up the ladder holding the letter, and Lucas goes,
This
and,
thing almost took out my eye. What is this? What are you doing?
And Basil conversely is going, oh no.
and I think we'll just end our session there for today. That feels pretty good. Let's go to the end of session phase, or the end of session. It's not really a phase, I suppose. Does anybody have any? Well, let's do end of session questions. Actually, let's do verse prompts first. That way, you all can try to get credit for it. Does anybody owe a verse prompt right now? If you do and you want to go ahead and do it, go for it.
I owe a verse. Let me just get to the text of it. It's describe a time in which I was experimenting with illicit gods in my teen years. And we see a young Zeph kind of hiking down a hill into a lower, more boggier, kind of swampy sort of region, and tall trees with exposed roots that pull up out of what isn't necessarily water, just sopping, spongy plant life that is in the process of decaying and regrowing constantly, depending on how much rain we get. And you see Zeph rolling up their sleeves and just sinking their hands into the water and then pulling up something from the muck a foot let down. And as they kind of like rinse what's in their hands, you see these tiny aquamarine dappled frog. And as Zeph kind of looks at it, puts it in their pocket and continues to gather more. And after maybe a few minutes, has 5 or 6 all washed off in the swamp water. They lean back against the roots of a tree, trying to arrange their shoulders in such a way that the moss is covering the back of their neck, and starts to apologies, someone's at the door. Starts to place those tiny little frogs over their eyes, under their tongue, in one of their ear canals, and just the other ones holding in their palm. As they slowly start to, you can see their muscles sag and relax and lull as their body kind of gets heavy and sinks a little deeper into the loam, stoned out of their gourd.
Nice, thank you. Basil, do you want to go?
Yeah, so we established that this sect of the Waxen Scrivener, that there's this initiation rite of tattooing recipes to hogs, essentially, for all of the parts. And as you can guess, the kids are then asked to slaughter the hog and to make those recipes for each, and then partake in them, feast in them. And the camera is just like, you see close up of Basil's eyes, and it cuts to close up of the hog's eyes, and it's kind of like cutting back and forth between the two and getting closer and closer. And then you hear the hog. You should not consume. That is for me. Basil's hog is a god. And so there's a little bit of sort of like a Free Willy moment here, where Basil like attempts to like sneak the hog out, and they are moving through the night through the brush, and you can see after a little while there's like these flashlights coming behind them, and it's other kids from the class, and they're like, Basil! Basil! You're not supposed to run away with it! We know what you did! And at some point, Basil and the hog kind of like go over this like almost like a mound, like a raised area, and get to the other side of it, and we see these flashlights come up onto the road. Um, and the hog again like turns up to Basil, and Basil looks at it, and we see the cutting back and forth, and it goes, "You shall not consume." And a truck at that moment runs over the kids who are standing on one of these trade roads.
Fantastic. Is that it for verses? Let's go ahead and do end of session questions. Everyone has the question, did you engage with a god, angel, or other divine manifestation? Zeph, yes. Basil, yes. Gage, I don't think you
Whispering
did.
under the dirt.
Oh, like when Gale was talking to the, I'll take that, yeah. Japheth,
I don't think so, unless Mog or Calamity are secretly divine.
no, I don't think so. Let's keep going. Zeph Harrow, did you deliver the monologue today?
There was a prime opportunity for me to start drug muttering, and I missed it, so nope.
That's okay. Did you struggle with your personal faith, even in flashback?
God, the Cairn Maiden and I are at odds, but I don't think I really expressed that to a lot of characters today.
Japheth de los Santos, did you go out of your way to connect with the local community?
I sure tried to.
You did. Did you deliver the monologue?
I was aiming for that with Mog and the sense of serving the community through food and consumption and the roles we played, but did I match that to horrors? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure if it read. Basil Lechamp, did you go out of your way to connect with the local community?
I think so.
With Lucas, I guess.
Yeah.
You did. You went out of your way in a way. Did you undermine the orders of your superiors or use the assignment to pursue personal interests?
I don't know. I had an angle on this. I don't. It feels like if I'm taking the one, I shouldn't take the other as well.
Yeah, it feels a little. Yeah, I tend to agree. Gage, right? Did you go out of your way to connect with the local community?
Playing matchmaker. Also,
Yeah,
I now have a son.
Oh yeah, there's that part too. That's the part that I think. Yeah. That'll probably be more salient next time. But yeah, were you vulnerable with someone?
I don't think so.
Okay, very well. And that concludes our session for today. Let's go to stars and wishes. Stars are things you enjoyed. Wishes are things you hope to see next time in the story. Whoever wants to go first, take it away.
All right, I'll go. I really enjoyed Calamity Jones a lot, especially the phrase that Pox monks put all sorts of shit in their mouths after Japheth's introduction, and also that she wanted to non-exist that bitch. I love that turn of phrase. Yeah, side characters on point as usual. Mike, the stoned Basil is my favorite Basil, and I really enjoyed the sandwich drama and going on the pickles poop hunt. But a late addition was Yoda Hog, who that was not expecting that. That was great. Sarah threatening the Gloam with dissolution in the pit was so clever, and I was really glad you did that. I look forward to the further adventures of Zeph and the Gloam. And Brian, I love your interpretation of the Poxmonk so much, and your interactions with Calamity Jones. I think if Calamity Jones keeps showing up, I would love to see maybe a verse involving Calamity Jones somehow. I want to see the history there. You knew each other. Wishes. I want to meet this harvest god. I want to see what kind of trouble Gage can get into with another harvest god he probably shouldn't worship, but will.
Yeah, I had a great time. It was a really good session. It was a really interesting character session, like just having chats with characters, and I always kind of like that. And The horror levels weren't particularly high on this one, except for in flashback. But um, but the present day story was so just kind of like, very like investigation focused, very character focused, but really interesting. And I was having a lot of fun playing Gail Van Wyck and Lucas and Calamity Jones and Mog. It was really fun, and I was really happy that we got to like tie in the conspiracy in some interesting ways as well. So yeah, really pleased with that. Um, yeah, I thought everybody just did a really good job interacting with the side characters and interacting with Gloam and and Kaz. He was really fun to play as well. It was a really good side character session for me. I was really enjoying these characters a lot, and you all did a great job playing off them and interacting with them and stuff. And so yeah, it's fun. And wishes. I'm also very interested to get inside the grow facility. I think that's a very interesting part of the investigation on that assignment, and so I want to see that. Curious about this pickle situation. What's going on there? I'm also curious to learn more about Calamity and Japheth. And it's kind of a sideways wish, but I also kind of wonder if we're ever going to see Sister Quarrel again. So Japheth is like collecting all the badass women side characters. So yeah. And yeah, I'm curious about this showdown with the Gloams, and I'm really curious to see how that's going to go and what's going to happen with it. And Zeph having a Gloam, I'm curious how that's going to play into it. And so yeah, there's a I feel like we're kind of setting the table for some things this session, and so I'm happy to see it all pay off.
I have a star next to Jesus Christ for obvious reasons, because that was just like a great moment of pulling on a stack of books. I'm just a kid, man. It was a great moment because, again, stoned Basil. I had said off chat how I loved Mike's Lady Florence echo of just taking LSD and go finding like the most interesting side characters to interact with. So a continuing star for how you like to play your characters. Drive them like they're stolen. I also like the bad sandwich drama because Basil told everybody else how great that sandwich was except for us. So, like, are we getting honest food takes? And he just benevolently says, no, it's great. I love it. To everybody else, there's like a fun little lying facade there that'll be fun to unpack later. Gage, I really am excited to start to see the cracks in this character. Ben, as you start to like play the crunch tooth juxtaposition to your own harvest god, I wonder if that you are just going to fall further down the crunch tooth path, or if you are going to start to rebel. And that's going to be a really fun decision tree to like watch in real time that I'm looking forward to. What else? The fact that the cat is named Pickles just, I think, is the only reason that Basil went on this side quest, which I also really enjoy from a food focused character. And Japheth just goiter and pus ridden poxmonk pulling all the babes. Kind of great. I also really enjoyed how much we tied the conspiracy to what was happening in the floating market, even the kind of like natural assumptions that come from our solution that the Gloams are part of this canning company, but also Blue Lotus Foods might be interested in what the Gloam in a can might offer. And that whole like swath of depth that we get to explore next time is something.
And what does the red rot have to do with all of it, right? Like that's
right.
Yeah.
Is that why they're called Blue Lotus? Because everything's red and they want to throw us off the scent. Like, anyway, I'm just excited to play more.
I think star one specific like one of these like little stars was Brian the card that was like the ripped off box. I've been playing a lot of Balatro lately, which is wonderful if you're into deck building, roguelikes and that kind of thing. But like an element of that is like all of these like poker cards that are just like modified things from the external universe. And like the second that you talked about like that, like the ripped off box, I was like, my brain was going in a million different directions, and I really regretted not coming up with that. Because there's so many fun things with, yeah, what could these cards be other than just like cards themselves? So that was really cool. In general, yeah, just like a very like quirky, like silly session. But then I think that there's, and this kind of ties into my wish, yeah, obviously like the Gloam stuff, like all of the side characters, that type of thing. Uh, but then like even with the gloam and the pit in the box and all of that, there is like this like dark sinisterness that is like bubbling around all of these things. And then with Gage like starting to get closer to this harvest god and the interest in that. So I think my wish is that um to see that like contrast hit hard, of sort of like the characters have been kind of like yeah, just look very cavalier in their approaches to things, and sort of like quirky and silly. And I'm interested to see how the gods here bite back, in a way.
Alrighty. A few not mentioned. I loved the crunchy gob, the leftover crunch tooth granola bits quite a bit. Jason, your characterizations were fabulous again, as always. Another thing that Calamity said was none of that in the pit. It was great. Sarah with how much for the caterpillar, and I actually thought it was going to be a ventriloquist dummy at first before it became this gloam beast that he was talking to. And then also, Sarah, your father was Happy Feet Senior. That was just fantastic. I hope Happy Feet Senior comes back somehow in a really gruesome, grotesque way. What else? Oh, the bad sandwich. The bowl of steaming tentacles. A lot of good gruesome food. In the chat, Sarah had written the Silt versus Homebrew Club must be wild. I love that in the end there Mike brought us back to the horror with the camera cut between his eyes, the hog's eyes, and then that the children end up taking the hit for the sacrifice. And then two things that were kind of written in the description. We didn't really. Well, the My First Ritual knife set is hilarious. I don't know who wrote that, but that's amazing.
Gabriel wrote this one, and I love that.
Okay.
There's another one that's like little like false idols with little hammers. See it smashing.
It was
So good.
originally what Zeph was going to buy, was that little like smashing of the idols. Amazing.
Yeah. And the description of the godflesh bites that's written into this is amazing. So a lot of good writing inside the scenario itself that isn't necessarily always spoken.
Yeah. Is that everybody for Stars and Wishes? We all good? Okay. Well, thank you all so much. I'm going to wave goodbye to people watching the video. Goodbye, people watching the video.